Hey guys, Hello Bella here, and in this video I'm going to be covering the don'ts of Ozempic, all the things that you don't want to do. If you want to be successful, these are things that you need to keep in mind if you are taking this drug. So I have been on Ozempic for 292 days at this point, so I feel like I'm somewhat qualified to talk about this subject. I've learned a lot about how this drug acts in the body, how I react to it personally, and just hearing all these stories from different people talk about how this medicine has changed their life has been really uplifting. So in this video, I guess I kind of want to give tips to anyone who may be thinking about taking it, or if this is like your first month or your first week on Ozempic, these are things that I think would be useful for you to know. So the number one thing is don't expect overnight success. I know that a lot of you are really hopeful when you start taking this medication. If you're like me, it was something that you were like, okay, this is like a last resort. This is a last ditch effort for weight loss because I feel like I have tried everything under the sun and it's just not working. So don't expect to lose weight immediately, especially, you need to think about the fact that you are usually starting out at 0.25 dosage, and that is not a dose that's effective for weight loss. So your body has to get used to this medicine being in your system, and you don't want to rush it. If anything, the first couple of weeks, just try to focus on being aware of your habits and knowing, things like what types of food make you feel good, what types of food give you energy, what types of food make you feel sluggish, and things like that. So don't expect overnight success. Tip number 2 is don't start taking this medication if you cannot afford to keep taking it. And I wish I kind of would have known how things were going to go for me. Initially, my insurance covered this medicine, so it was only costing me $25 a month. And now this medicine is costing me about $350 a month. I am paying out of pocket for it at a walk-in clinic in my area. And I will say that, if you try to go get this from a walk-in clinic, it's pretty likely that they'll give it to you. But at the same time, you have to think, am I going to be okay with paying for this for 16 weeks, for 20 weeks, $60 a week or $100 a week, or however much they're charging? Because for me, for my clinic, it goes up as my dosage goes up. And now that I'm on the highest dose, it is $85 a week. So that's something that you need to take into consideration. Hopefully your insurance covers it, but if your insurance doesn't cover it, money is definitely a factor, especially for something that, is going to be considered like a long-term drug. I'm kind of worried at this point what I'm going to do when I stop taking Ozempic, and I kind of wish that I would have gotten that information earlier on. But at the same time, it has helped me so much, and it has been such a good thing for me that I've continued to pay the out-of-pocket price because I feel like it's worth it. But that's something that you definitely want to consider is, do I have enough money to sustain paying for this medication? Tip number 3 is don't try to make too many changes at once. I see a lot of people like go to the store, go to Target, go to Walmart and get all kind of different foods, stuff that they never ate and things that they aren't used to, things that their stomach isn't used to. And I just want to say that, like, if you're just starting out on this medicine, it's okay to want to change your habits. Obviously, a lot of us are hopeful that this will be the final way that we can lose weight once and for all, but don't try to change everything overnight. I'm a big believer in slow and sustainable weight loss and habits that build, and habits that you can look back on day after day and say, you know what, I built that, I did that. It wasn't easy, but it's something that I've put the time and the effort into. I think a lot of us want change quicker than what change is, realistically going to happen, and I'm guilty of that as well. There's a lot of times in my life where I'm looking back on it and I'm like, wow, I should have been more patient, because obviously I was on the right track. I was on the road to where I wanted to go, but it's a little frustrating when you've been waiting all this time to lose weight and you still haven't. So I just want to say, don't try to change everything that you're doing overnight. Tip number 4 is don't eat high fat, high sugar, greasy food before you get used to this medication. Take it really slow with your diet and what you're eating. I would even caution just eating about like half of what you normally eat and then just wait, because some of the people, mentioned side effects of, GI issues and vomiting and things like that. I feel like a lot of that could potentially be avoided if people didn't, try to eat like they normally eat. So just be careful with what you're eating when you first start the medication. Really try to take it easy and try to eat as clean as possible. I don't really like that terminology, but just try not to eat a lot of sugary and greasy foods when you first start out. Number 5 is don't expect that you will have horrible side effects, because a lot of the information online about Ozempic is either overwhelmingly positive or overwhelmingly negative. So, I mean, a lot of people are sharing like their horror stories and then the success stories. And so I feel like just do you. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Don't assume that you're going to be nauseous. Don't assume that you're going to feel fatigued, because I had people commenting saying, I can't take it, I'm doing this and I'm going to be fatigued during the day, and they've never even taken the medication. So, I mean, obviously, you know, you want to do your research on things, but you can honestly come to conclusions based on a lot of like negative input from people who maybe don't have anything to do with you. So I would say do not worry about the side effects until they actually happen to you, because I mean, for me, I had nausea, I had like a little bit of stomach like cramping and things like that, but it wasn't anything absolutely horrible. I would do it all over again. It's not something that you can't get through. Obviously, if it gets really bad, you know, you may have to come off of the medication, but for me, I don't want to worry about things that have not happened yet. I mean, that's kind of pointless to worry about something that you can't control. Tip number 6 is, along with the other tip of don't eat certain types of food, tip number 6 is don't eat too fast. If you eat fast on this medicine, you will definitely get sick. I had to slow down my eating considerably. I'm a fast eater. I'm like a eat and watch TikTok or eat and watch something on Netflix, and that is a really bad habit that I've tried to get out of. I've tried to be more mindful when it comes to eating, and just sort of like, I'm only eating. I'm not eating and looking at something. I'm just eating and chewing and trying to be, you know, somewhat slow about it. But that's something that you really want to take into consideration, is like, be mindful when you're eating and what you're eating, and just try to take it slow. Number 7 is don't be surprised if you have bruising near the injection site. I usually get the shot in my stomach, but I went to get it in my arm a couple weeks ago, and huge bruise on my arm. My arm got like all kind of some dermatitis stuff going on, and it really was like something that I'm not used to, but I had heard other people talk about that, so it kind of like normalized it a little bit for me. But don't be surprised if you see like a, you know, a bruise or something like that, because you are sticking a needle and medicine into you, and we never know how we're going to react to those type of things. Tip number 8 is something that I learned later on, and that is don't expect the appetite suppression to last forever. It is gradually wearing off for me at the highest dose. So I'm not seeing as much of that appetite suppression as I was before. I'm having to lean more on my habits and the fundamental things of, you know, how do I eat? How do I snack during the day? What foods do I allow in my house? And that's something that, you know, you need to be prepared for, because this magical appetite suppression probably isn't going to last forever. I mean, I've been on the drug for 9 months at this point, so I would expect to see, you know, me build up a little bit of a tolerance to it, and that has sort of started to happen. I've noticed that I'm more hungry more often, but I'm still having appetite suppression, I guess. It's just nowhere near the level it was when I first started. So don't expect to sustain that. I feel like the appetite suppression is the main reason that people start taking Ozempic, because food, you know, sort of consumes your life sometimes if you're always thinking about it and you're always hungry. And so when I started Ozempic, I felt like for the first time I was consuming food, food was not consuming me. And so I saw a big shift in my mental like clarity and my mindset and things. So I would just say don't expect that to last forever. I'm seeing now after a while on this drug that it is slowly starting to come back. Number 9 is don't try to increase your dose too quickly. I see a lot of people saying, should I just go ahead and move up? My doctor wants me to do this or that, and I don't want to wait. Like, you definitely need to take this medication slow. If not, you could potentially be having to go to the emergency room. The side effects are that strong. The way that it works is it's building up slowly in your body, and so if you try to take too much at once, you're basically like going to shock your system. So really be careful with how much you take at once. I have taken it super slow. I feel like I've taken it slower than most people even at this point, that, you know, I've done everything slowly and sustainably, and that's the way that I personally want to do it. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to shock my body or do anything that's going to cause harm to me. So that leads me to tip number 10. Don't ignore your body. Your body is sending you signals for a reason. Your body is there to tell you when something's not right. So if you feel like something's off, or you feel like you're having sensations that you haven't had before, pay attention to that. Write down your symptoms. If you use like the notes app, you can always, jot down how you're feeling or what's going on. If things persist, you do need to see your doctor. You guys, asking for medical advice in the YouTube comments is not a good life strategy. You really need to be careful with that. You need to take it serious because it's a pretty serious medication to be on. So those are my 10 things that you don't want to do while being on Ozempic. I guess if I have a bonus for you guys, I guess number 11 or whatever you want to call it, don't tell people that you're taking this medication unless you want to hear what they have to say about it, because I told the whole internet and I've gotten a lot of feedback, a lot of haters, whatever, like it is what it is. I decided to share my private life with the internet, but don't feel like you need to tell everyone. I mean, I feel like a lot of people feel pressured when they're losing weight. People will be like, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And you feel like you need to come clean almost, but like it's really nobody's business but yours, and keeping it between you and your doctor is fine. If you have somebody that you love and trust, like a partner or a best friend, that's one thing. But feeling like you need to tell everyone around you that you're on it, I don't feel like it's productive, because there's a lot of judgment when it comes to this medication. I've never seen so much controversy around a drug. I mean, I feel like, it's just become crazy, the amount of hype that this medication has gotten. I honestly felt like at some point I was like, this has got to die down. This is just flavor of the week. This is in the news cycle, whatever. Like they can't continue talking about this, but they have. It has been like a really trendy subject, and I shout out to the marketers who make Ozempic and all of these GLP-1s, because I'm sure they are feeding the flames and keeping their drugs expensive. But for me, being on Ozempic has really helped me in terms of seeing where food fits into my life, seeing how some of my other parts of my body were not functioning properly. It's honestly been great because it's led me to make a lot of doctor's appointments in order to kind of figure out some other things that were going on with me, and just overall being more mindful of taking care of myself, being able to lose some of this weight. I've been able to exercise more. I've been able to feel less stress, and I would do it all over again if I had the chance. But I hope that these don'ts are helpful for you, because these are all things that, you could probably learn as you go along, but it'd be a lot easier if you know beforehand not to do these things. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, guys. If you are on an Ozempic journey, I would love to hear about it in the comment section. I love to hear how it's going for you guys, how much weight you've lost, things that you've noticed about yourself, like mentally, anything that you want to share with us. I would love to hear about it. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.